All right, today we are diving deep into a deadly game that starts with a simple philosophical question. What begins as just a thought experiment in a classroom spirals, and I mean spirals, into this intense battle for survival that's going to make you question what's real and what's just part of the lesson. So let me ask you this. A nuclear apocalypse is happening right now. There's a bunker nearby, but it can only save 10 people for 1 year. After that, it's on you to reboot the entire human race. Now, the catch is there are 21 of you in the room. So, who gets a spot? That's the question at the very heart of this whole thing. So, where does this all go down? We're in an international school in Jakarta. It's the very last day of philosophy class, and the students are about to get their final exam from their pretty enigmatic professor, a guy named Zimit. But, this isn't some multiple choice test. Oh no, this is an exercise in imagination with some very real life or death consequences. Zimit lays out the rules, and there's a really crucial dual objective here. It is not enough to just survive the year in the bunker. The group you pick has to be, well, viable enough to restart civilization. And that means every single choice you make is weighed against two things. Can you survive right now? And can you, procreate for the long haul? Okay, so for the first run-through, Zimit insists on one thing: pure, cold, hard logic. Each student gets a random profession, and the group has to vote based on a strict utilitarian calculus. Who provides the absolute greatest good for the group? No room for feelings here. So first, the choices seem kind of obvious, right? You need people who can build stuff, heal people, grow food. So the organic farmer, the structural engineer, the electrician, they're all shoo-ins. But then Zimit argues he's a wild card with secret knowledge, and he convinces the class to vote him in, too. And what about those with less practical skills, like a poet? Well, they're immediately eliminated. And in this experiment, that means they're shot to prevent a slow death from radiation. Yeah, it's dark. But of course, this purely logical approach, it has a massive fatal flaw. The students, they get scared that Zimit is a threat, so they manage to get into the bunker and they lock him out. They survive the year, no problem. But when it's time to leave, they discover a terrible truth. Zimit was the only one who knew the exit code. They're trapped. Forever. So the first attempt, the one based on pure, unemotional logic, ends in complete, catastrophic failure. All right, we're back in the classroom. Zimit hits the reset button on the experiment. The scenario is exactly the same, but this time, he adds a new layer of complexity. Now, each student is given a secret personal trait that really complicates their supposedly logical profession. And just like that, the cold logic completely fractures. James, the farmer you absolutely need, well, he's gay, which kind of throws a wrench in the whole rebooting humanity mission. The doctor, a crucial asset, turns out she's now a liability who will eventually die from a deadly virus. These little secrets just throw the whole process into total chaos, and it forces everyone to confront their own biases. So inside the bunker this time, the tension it escalates like crazy. Zimit takes control and declares that to ensure procreation, every female will be intimate with every male. His cold, utilitarian logic completely steamrolls over personal feelings, attachments, consent, and it sparks an immediate rebellion. A soldier in the group just flat out refuses Zimit's order, so Zimit pulls a gun on her, a fight breaks out, and in all the chaos, someone opens the bunker door. The nuclear blast just incinerates everyone inside. So once again, their attempt to survive ends in total disaster, this time completely undone by human emotion and conflict. Another round, another failure. It's starting to look like messy human nature is just as deadly as pure logic. At this point, the students are pretty much ready to give up. But Petra, the class's star student, she insists on one more try. This time, though, she's in charge, and she's about to throw Zimit's entire rulebook right out the window. And right here, you see the two mindsets just clash. Zimit is always asking, who is the most useful for survival? But Petra asks a totally different question. Who makes survival actually worth the effort? Her whole philosophy isn't about utility. It's about art, beauty, and all the things that give life meaning. So Petra's chosen 10 are completely different. She picks the poet, the opera singer, a fashion designer, even an ice cream maker. Zimit is furious, right? He's calling them useless. But Petra's argument is that without culture and art and joy, there's no civilization worth rebuilding. You're not living, you're just surviving.
And Petra doesn't just have a new philosophy, she has a brilliant strategy. She very cleverly disarms Zimmit by stealing his gun during a hug. She already knows the exit code because her friend Bonnie has a photographic memory and saw it in the last round. And when it's time to go in, another student sacrifices his own spot so that she can lead the group. She completely outthought the professor at every single turn. Inside the bunker, the year is totally different. It's filled with music and poetry, stories and art. They create this vibrant, meaningful little society. And when the year is up, they open the door to find out that the bombs never actually fell on their island. They didn't just survive, they thrived. They won a philosophical victory.
But hold on, the thought experiment, it isn't the real story. As the class ends, we start to realize the truth was kinda hidden between the lines this whole time.
The final grades are out, the students are leaving, but the tension in that room is thicker than ever. Something else was going on this entire time, hidden just beneath the surface of this so-called exam.
Petra stays behind after class, and the true stakes are finally revealed. Turns out she and Professor Zimmit have been having an affair, but she's breaking it off because she's actually in love with another student, James. And in that one moment, everything just clicks into place. The entire thought experiment was never a neutral test of logic. It was a cruel, elaborate game designed by a jealous Zimmit to prove to Petra that her new love interest, James, was logically worthless, and that he, Zimmit, was the superior choice. The personal variables, the setups, it was all one big personal attack. And in the final moments, we see Zimmit all alone in his room. He opens a drawer, and we see a gun. The screen goes dark, and all we hear is a single, sharp gunshot. And that's where we're left. Did the professor, having lost Petra and been philosophically defeated by his own student, actually take his own life? Or was this too just another dark scenario playing out in his own mind? We never find out, leaving us to wonder about that blurred line between a twisted imagination and a tragic reality.